has some of that experience of working with Patrick and preparing for comeback material helped to inform your choices and your thoughts as you prepare to start working with Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir in their return to competitive ice dancing?
Well, I mean, I think every client is a different ball game. Tessa and Scott, I have a little bit of history with. I did a showpiece for them years ago before they won Olympics. I only had them for a day and a half, but I wish that I had them longer. We had a great time,
right.
And I think the number went off well. They enjoyed doing it. It was Jack and Diane, little ditty about Jack and Diane.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but that was it, and I always thought, oh God, because they're so great, and we got along so great. They also did Eunice's show more than one occasion, so I got to kind of work with them in that capacity as being cast members of my show and choreographing them in ensemble routines and so I definitely I'm familiar with them, but this we've choreographed. They've already performed it, a show routine, and we've already started work on next year's material. So it's not like I had a lot of history with them, but there was an existing rapport.
Sure. And
and with Mary France, of course, I'm doing it collaboratively with Mary France. She's the one who called me and brought me in to help with the project. So it's a family affair, you could say. So, but it's really great because you see, Tessa and Scott really always idolized or thought of Mary France and Patrice as mentors. Even though they competed together, there was that kind of generational difference, that age gap, and they really look up to Mary France and Patrice, and so it's a very particular situation. It's a very special kind of unique situation. And Mary France and Patrice are just starting out with their coaching career. I mean, they've only been coaching for a few years.
And they're surging already.
Oh, well, because, they competed to a later age. So, when I worked with them for 2006, the first season, then 2007, they were already, very mature adults, very seasoned performers and athletes, and they trained all over the world, competed all over the world. So I didn't feel like I was working with kids. I wasn't working with kids.
Right.
It was more like working with a professional performer, like as if Kurt asked me to do a number or somebody, do you know what I mean? So when they finished competing, they had a lot in their bag already. So it took them a couple years to kind of get their bearings about their, kind of their coaching feet in the ground.
Yeah.
But it's no surprise to me that it's now just got caught on, and they're transforming the dance world.
On the topic of ice dance, we saw this past season two skaters that debuted short dances, Chalk and Bates and Weaver and Poget, that they subsequently, the programs were Dark Eyes and an Elvis routine, that they both dumped, found new material, and continued with the season that way. I suppose feedback from judges was negative and so forth. Are you ever, as a choreographer, on standby that if a program, as hard as you might work on it, or with the best of intentions, if it's a flop or if it's not working and you have to go back to the drawing board, what does that look like and what does that kind of huddle? Can you give us any insights onto the decisions?
Yeah, I've been in similar situations over the years, and it can be very difficult. There's not a lot of room for us to have egos.
Right.
And certainly not fragile ones. There's a lot at stake for these kids, and sometimes things just don't go the way you had hoped they would, and sometimes there is a need for a drastic shift.
Right.
And whether that means going back to an old program or creating something completely new or doing like a major overhaul revamp of what was done. You just don't know. And I have been in, I was in situations like that with Jeffrey. His Olympic year in 2006, we had gone to such depths to create this piece that was so involved, and we were so into it. Both of us, him and myself, equally invested in this project. It was a whole Glenn Gould retrospective.
Yes, I remember.
And he got out and competed with it a couple times. It was too much. It was too much. It was too intense. He wasn't able to shoulder what the piece required and still do his jumps.
Right.
So I felt terrible. I felt responsible, and I felt like I should have known better. So we went back to his old long, and it worked out beautifully because he did win a bronze medal, and you know, so it was okay. But you know, you feel bad, right?
Sure.